Imagine, imagine you're staring through the James Webb Space Telescope, right?
Oh, wow. Okay. Setting the scale early.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking way past the boundaries of our solar system, past the swirling dust clouds of the Milky Way, straight into this cold, just unimaginable expanse of the infinite void.
Right.
Now, imagine that at the absolute gravitational center of all that staggering cosmic power, you don't find a supermassive black hole. You find like a first-century carpenter.
I mean, it just totally shatters how we intuitively understand scale, doesn't it?
Oh, completely.
We usually view, the physics of the cosmos and then this grounded, fragile reality of human vulnerability as these two totally distinct, non-overlapping paradigms.
They usually are. But today, you and I are exploring a philosophical framework where those two extremes aren't just overlapping, they are literally presented as the exact same thing.
Right.
So, welcome to this deep dive. We have a really highly specific, just densely packed set of sources in front of us today, which were actually brought to us by you, the listener.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating stack.
It really is. It consists of one striking visual image and then three very brief, profound textual statements that that basically construct a complete theological architecture around Jesus Christ.
And it's an architecture that condenses some incredibly vast metaphysical concepts into just a few very pointed, deliberate claims.
Yeah,
The efficiency, the messaging here is, well, it's something we really need to pull apart.
absolutely. And just to set the parameters for you listening, our aim today isn't to validate or critique the theology itself. Right. Or take any kind of religious stance whatsoever.
Right, we're not picking sides here.
Exactly. We're treating these sources as a conceptual blueprint. We're here to just impartially examine the structural integrity of these ideas, the stark contrasts they present, and like how they mechanically interlock.
We're basically looking at the physics of this specific philosophy, how it defines sovereignty, how it operationalizes humanity, and what it suggests about the sheer nature of power.
Which brings us to the core tension we'll be chasing today.
Yeah.
Which is, how do these sources reconcile the mind-bending scale of a cosmic creator with the inherently fragile, limited reality of human humility?
Right, it's a massive paradox.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Starting with the visual. Because before we even analyze a single word of the text, the image you've provided sets a stage that is, frankly, almost overwhelmingly massive.
Yeah, the visual forces you to immediately confront the sheer magnitude of the claim being made well before you have to process the granular theology of the text.
Right. So for you listening, let me just kind of map out what we're looking at here.
Go for it.
At the absolute center of the frame stands a figure representing Jesus Christ. He's dressed in these traditional flowing white robes with a deep red sash draped across his shoulder.
Very classic iconography.
Yeah, very classic. But the environment around him is what completely upends your expectations. Like, he isn't walking a dusty road in the ancient Levant. He is positioned at the literal geometric center of the cosmos.
And this isn't just some static backdrop of twinkling stars either.
Yeah.
It is an intensely dynamic environment.
It really is. There's this blinding, radiant light emanating directly from his figure. It's so intense it almost washes out the center of the canvas.
Right.
And radiating outward from him are these massive, concentric, glowing orbital rings. They look remarkably like the rings of an ancient astrolabe, but blown up to a universal scale.
Yeah, it's wild.
And caught within these glowing rings are entire spiral galaxies, star systems, and planets, all just tethered to him, orbiting his position.
The inclusion of those orbital rings is a really crucial detail.
Oh, how so?
Well, it suggests that the cosmos isn't just this chaotic explosion of matter expanding endlessly outward. The rings imply order, geometry, and sustained intention.
Oh.
The universe in this image is behaving according to a very specific set of laws that all radiate from the center.
The visual juxtaposition is what really arrests your attention, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a figure wearing simple, ancient, earthly clothing like fabric woven on a human loom.
Right.
Right. And yet he serves as the absolute gravitational anchor of a sci-fi scale multiverse. It's like placing a humble carpenter at the literal control center of the cosmos. He's standing on this polished, reflective cosmic floor, just seamlessly managing the spin of galaxies.
What's fascinating here is how directly that visual juxtaposition translates into the first piece of text we have to analyze.
Let's hear it.
The excerpt is titled "The Incarnate Architect of the World,"
Okay.
and the text explicitly defines him as the God and creator of this world. So when you look at those swirling galaxies and the blinding light, you aren't merely looking at like a stylized portrait of a historical figure.
Right. It's bigger than that.
Exactly. You're looking at a visual assertion of absolute, unmitigated sovereignty.
An architect is a very deliberate word choice there, I think, because an architect doesn't just stumble upon a building, right? They conceive it. They draw the blueprints. They understand the load-bearing walls of reality itself.
Precisely. The visual and the text combined make a totalizing claim over space, time, and matter. He isn't just existing within the universe. The universe is an extension of his design.
So he's not just a resident.
No, if he is the architect, then those orbital rings and galaxies are his literal blueprint realized. It's a claim of total ownership.
But establishing that kind of absolute, blinding cosmic power immediately creates this massive philosophical friction. I mean, if you are the architect managing spiral galaxies like spinning plates, how do you logically interact with the microscopic, fragile world you built?
Right.
And that friction leads directly into the second half of that first text source.
It forces a pretty harsh transition from the infinite scale down to the finite.
Yeah, it does. The text continues. God and creator of this world who came into world as human.
Wow.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting, because I have to push back on the logic of this framework for a second.
Okay, lay it on me.
If you hold the power to sustain the geometry of the universe, and you step into that universe as a human, aren't you essentially just putting on a costume?
Ah, I see what you mean.
Like, is there actual vulnerability here, or is it purely performative? Because if you have the power to spin galaxies on your finger, biological limitations like hunger, fatigue, or, a stub toe, they aren't real threats.
Right.
You still have the cosmic cheat codes in your back pocket.
That is the central paradox. The concept of the incarnate architect demands you grapple with. The philosophical tension hinges entirely on the authenticity of the limitation.
Exactly.
Because if it's just a disguise, as you suggest, the entire framework just collapses into theater.
It's just a play.
Right. But the theology presented in these sources insists the incarnation was a radical, agonizing self-limitation.
Okay.
He didn't just visit the creation while maintaining infinite attributes. He subjected himself entirely to the biological, physical, and emotional physics of the design.
So it's a genuine contraction. The infinite willingly squeezing itself into the finite, enduring the actual cellular degradation and social indignities of being human.
Yes, a totally willing surrender of advantage. And actually, if you look closely at the image again, the artist has embedded this paradox into the visual itself.
Oh, really? Where?
Look at the posture of the figure. He is standing at the nexus of overwhelming cosmic power, yet his arms are open wide.
Oh, yeah.
His palms are facing outward, tilted slightly up. It is a profoundly welcoming, vulnerable gesture.
I see that now.
Yeah.
It's distinctly non-threatening.
Yeah.
There's no commanding fist raised to demand submission, no pointed finger of judgment.
Exactly. A raised fist would signify forceful domination, which, aligns with the raw physics required to move galaxies.
Right.
But the open, empty hands, that bridges the conceptual gap. That is the posture of the approachable human mentioned in the text.
Does it give it?
Yes. It signifies a willingness to be encountered, to be touched, and potentially to be hurt. The image perfectly balances the terrifying absolute power of the architect with the radical accessibility of the human.
It's a posture that essentially invites the viewer to step into the space, rather than keeping them at a terrified distance.
Exactly.
But, okay, if we accept that the vulnerability is genuine, that the architect truly subjected himself to the fragile human experience, we hit a functional problem.
Which is?
What does that vulnerability actually accomplish? Why is it mechanically necessary?
Yes.
And this brings us to the next source text, which is titled The Path of Divine Humility.
This is where the framework shifts from describing the state of the universe to actually explaining its mechanism.
Okay, I will read this excerpt exactly as it's written, because the phrasing is highly unusual and incredibly dense.
It really is.
It says, to first show to his world that humility to humans is he as human had been humble to all other humans, is the only salvation by God his Father.
Yeah, it requires a bit of unpacking to see how the syntax serves the underlying argument there.
My immediate reaction as a reader is just to the sheer density of the repetition. human, humans, human, human, which I assume reads as the root for humble and then humans again,
Right.
all stacked into one run-on thought. From an analytical perspective, why employ that kind of aggressive cyclical phrasing? It feels like the author is trying to forcefully trap the reader's attention on a very specific plane of reality.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the author is basically refusing to let the listener escape into abstract, ethereal spirituality.
Ah,
By repeatedly hammering the words human and humal, the text aggressively grounds the cosmic